finally make videos here now. So I just wanted to make a video basically explaining everything that's happened up to this point, because it's been like the most insane month of my life and I haven't been able to tell many people about it, definitely not publicly. So it all started about a month before Worlds. Over the past like 3 months I've actually started to develop more of like a feel for YouTube of how I want to do things. I wanted to pursue that even more so than I had already. So I went up to, I got in a call with Hector and I said, it would be cool if like we did something big for Worlds for Optic, and I wanted to work closely with Optic with it because it just made the most sense. So I brought up the documentary. I was like, hey, we could do this, it would be killer and it would be awesome. The more I started thinking about that documentary, the more I started thinking about, if we had something like that all the time, and I had the privilege of knowing about this house, knowing that this was going to be a thing prior to that. And so I was like, man, like, we see it with other team houses. We saw it with Envious, we see it with TSM. I think Envious is about to do it again over in the Villa. We see it all the time, in esports, but it's always been something that for some reason, in the past has never worked out with Optic. So I brought that up. He was like, I actually really, really like that idea. So he was like, let me think about it. Let me call you back. When somebody says something like that to you, imagine how that feels. Because to them, like, for Hector in that situation, he's got to think about it. He's got to figure out how to plan out this, this possible move. But he's got a million other things going on. Whereas for me in that situation, I just had to basically wait, keep my head down, keep grinding and acting like everything was normal. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, if he happens to work this all out, my entire life's about to change. So that was my life for honestly like a month. It was crazy. A week before the New Orleans tournament, I get the call from Hector and he says, hey man, the house thing is a go. I talked to all the guys, they're down. The only thing is we have to figure out the rooming situation. And then he immediately got another call and he was like, I gotta call you back. So he hung up and I didn't even know any details. No details whatsoever. I just knew that it was going to happen. He said it was a go. So I went, as soon as he hung up, I went to work, put in my 2-week notice, and that was when I knew it was about to happen. That was probably like the craziest week for me, just to finally, lock everything down, as well as have the most, the most intensive project on my plate all at the same time. So then we fast forward, we'd go to Worlds. Worlds was crazy, worked insanely hard. I think I've already talked about this with you guys. And then while I was at Worlds, I talked to so many people that Hector had already talked to and brought up this, this idea that he had about me staying in the house and working on, being an extra set of eyes in the background, because everybody here is already a content producer and already produces so much amazing content. And so for me, I'm just the fly on the wall, and I'm shooting it from a broader stance. So that's what a bunch of people were talking to me and said they were, super excited about it. Say it's going to be a huge year for Optic, huge year for Call of Duty, which it is, and I'm super excited about that. After Worlds, I come back home. I spend the next 3 days editing. When I say 3 days, that's all I did for 3 days was edit. Hector called me on the last day that I was editing and was like, hey, when can you get up here? And keep in mind that I had an apartment. I had a lease that I had to get out of. I was about to move away to Chicago, so I was gonna go drive over to the beach to see my mom where she lives. So I just had a lot to do in the span of 5 days. It was the most stressed I've ever been in my entire life, but of course I was super excited about it as well because I knew all this stuff was going to happen. I managed to figure out how I'm going to buy out my lease, moved a bunch of stuff out of my apartment. Then I thought I was going to have to bring a U-Haul up here because I thought I was going to bring my bed and my dresser. Then I realized I didn't need any of that. It was just a hectic time coming up to the Optic house. And then after that was the drive. The drive was a 14.5-hour drive from Cary, North Carolina to Chicago. I've never prepared myself for anything like that, for a drive that I was gonna have to make by myself. I didn't know what to expect, so I got the Game of Thrones audiobook and I just listened to it. and it actually really helped.
The fingers are so delicate. Our good Maester Pycelle makes such a marvelous sound.
When I got here that night, I was so exhausted. I don't think I've ever been that tired. You know, off of like basically mental stress. So then I get to the Optic house. That was the old Optic house. The very next day we move into this house. It was insane seeing everybody move in here and starting to film. You know, I was starting to film the move and everything, and I think that's really when it got real for me. You know, I visited the Optic house before. I'd been there, you know, just to visit, and even when I stayed the night there the night before, I had just had, you know, a little bit of clothes or whatnot. But then I moved in the next day. I moved into a house that I was going to call my home for the rest of how, you know, who knows how long. So it just got really real for me, and it was crazy. It's still all surreal, to tell you the truth. So throughout that week, I didn't really know what to do for content because I couldn't tell anybody I was coming up here. I couldn't tell anybody that we were moving into a new house. So and then on top of that, while I was still in Raleigh, I couldn't you know, make day in the life videos because all I was doing all day was editing or packing up. So it would be hard to explain. So that's why I didn't upload for a long time. Then when I got here, I made 2 videos while with my back facing the wall, like right down here. So that's the reason. I hope it makes sense now. That's the reason that the content was kind of lacking for a few days. And then we get to today. So, ow, God, I just stubbed my toe. So it is 20 minutes now until the video goes live, and we can announce and we can stop being so secretive about all this stuff, and I'm just super excited about it. I know Twitter's just gonna explode with the Pomage announcement, the house announcement, and then, you know, me being announced is like way down here, but still cool for me. So I'm really excited about that. All right, so we announced today. We announced like 4 hours ago, and then like 2 hours after that we made our own walkthrough announcements live on our own channel. So it's been a pretty crazy day. Twitter was popping. It was insane, and just thank you guys for all the support today. It was super overwhelming, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to see where all this goes. Yesterday, I shot the walkthrough, and then I shot everybody's room walkthrough, and then I edited them all up, got them to the players, and it was the first real project. It was like the first thing you do at a job, I guess you could say. Like I got hired to do a job, and this was my first project, and it went well. As of now, as of recording this, the video just hit 200,000 views, which is crazy. It's one of the crazier videos we've had up on Optic Nation in a really long time. I just feel like there's all this weight and this pressure has been built up for so long, and today was the release. But that's gonna do it for this video. I hope that gets you up to speed, and then we can just, you know, smooth sailing from here on out for the Optic Nation channel and my personal channel and everybody's channels within the house and in Optic. It's gonna be a great time. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Hitch, and we'll see you next time.